pamilya sa Balitang Amerika ngayon. International aid to the Philippines is quickly disappearing. Kababayans strong paying bills to help their families back home. Teachers in Louisiana get forced out of a job. And Gary Valenciano and Martin Rivera on stage together for the first time. Mga kapamilya, patuloy po ang paghihirap ng ating mga kababayan sa Pilipinas kahit lumipas na ang mga bagyo. Many areas of Metro Manila are still flooded. The stagnant water is breeding a host of problems for survivors, including disease and illness like dengue fever and malaria. And with nearly $130 million worth of crops damaged, there is a threat of a food supply shortage. International aid is getting harder to get since other countries have also been affected by the typhoons. The United Nations says the Philippines needs over $100 million with a relief effort. Government officials say it could take months to clean up ravaged areas. With the Philippines bracing for a long recovery in the aftermath of the deadly typhoons, kababayans continue to pour their hearts and their efforts to help those in need. Bev Lorenzo tells us that Filipinos in Nevada are foregoing their own bills to help flood victims back home. Kababayans in Las Vegas are setting their needs aside to raise funds for victims of the deadly typhoons in the Philippines. CHERYL took time off from work when she found out her family suffered from the raft of ONDOY. Her family lived in one of the areas hardest hit by the flood in Marikina. She plans to go home this Sunday to reunite with her family.
We finally got a hold of them after like 3 days, and now they're okay, and I just can't wait to see my family.
The call to help flood victims was enough to get people to attend a fundraiser. Gimmick the Lounge filled to capacity and was able to raise more than $2,000 without the lure of celebrities or popular entertainers. Even though some attendees are either jobless or have to work 2 jobs to make ends meet, helping their own families back home is a priority over their own expenses. TOFFEE PUNZALAN said that even though life is a struggle to many in the U.S., he was still able to send some money for his brother in the Philippines.
Mahirap na, you can't afford to give that much money. So kaya kailangan magtulong-tulong tayo para matulungan ang mas marami.
Just have hope. A lot of people are really willing to help and extend their sympathy nila.
In an effort to send more help back home, restaurant owner Mimi Lim wants to open up her restaurant in San Mig Lounge to host fundraisers. Her family in the Philippines were victims of the recent typhoons.
Marami kaming sakripisyong ginawa para magpadala sa Pilipinas. Unang-una, yung aming lahat ng aming nakukumpol sa aming mga staff, pinag-ipon-ipon namin yon para kahit na paano mapadala namin sa mga pamilya namin natitira sa Pilipinas.
We will pray for them, and whatever we can do here in the U.S., we will try to help out.
Most of our kababayans in Southern Nevada whose families were affected by typhoons said that delaying a bill payment or 2 just to send money back home is worth the sacrifice. Bev Lorenzo, ABS-CBN News, Las Vegas. In addition to the grassroots efforts across the country, the city of San Francisco is hoping they can free up some money to help typhoon victims in the Philippines, Samoa, and Indonesia. Steve Angeles has more on that story.
Despite a $575 million budget deficit, the city of San Francisco is trying to throw a lifeline to disaster victims in the Philippines, Samoa, and Indonesia. Supervisor Chris Daly introduced a resolution that would give $50,000 from the city's reserve funds to each of those affected countries.
It's a tough time for San Francisco, but I think it's during tough times that you see what we're made of, and hopefully San Francisco is still about supporting the people who are in need, not just here in San Francisco, but everywhere.
A provision in the proposal would put local grassroots organizations in charge of distributing the aid. The Filipino Community Center welcomed the proposal as they themselves continue to raise funds and collect supplies.
It's great. Whatever the city can do, governments around the world have been donating to the Philippines. The government of San Francisco, a city with progressive leaders, we've been working with them to make sure that whatever support they can give goes directly to communities.
As pleas for help continue to be answered, the Community Center is keeping a close eye on Philippine officials. The Arroyo administration will ask the United Nations for an additional $74 million for rebuilding efforts.
International institutions like the UN should contribute to the relief and rebuilding efforts, but coursing it through this current Philippine government and representatives of that is a dangerous thing given the history of corruption.
The Philippines has already received $13 million from 12 countries, not including grassroots efforts. The Board of Supervisors will vote if the city will give the Philippines, Samoa, and Indonesia an extra $50,000 within the next 3 weeks. As community groups continue their relief efforts, a few local elected officials continue donating as well. Some have opened up their personal pocketbooks, while a few are co-sponsoring fundraising events. Steve Angeles, ABS-CBN News, San Francisco.
Mga kapamilya, narito na ang ating issue ngayon. Philippine government officials say the country needs an additional $74 million in aid to deal with the aftermath of typhoons Ondoy and Pepeng. President Obama has sent his condolences to the Philippines and said his government has set aside $1.8 million to help in the relief efforts. Ang nagbabagang tanong, dapat bang magbigay ng karagdagang tulong ang Obama government sa mga nasalanta ng bagyo sa Pilipinas? Ibahagi ang inyong opinion. Tumawag lamang o mag-text sa 650-454-5138 o mag-email sa balitangamerika@abs-cbni.com. Ang resulta, malalaman sa Biyernes. Pagtugon naman po ng Obama government sa swine flu virus, the Centers for Disease Control has just released the nasal spray version of the H1N1 vaccine. The state of New York has already received 68,000 doses of the flu mist variety. Health officials say all 50 states ordered the H1N1 vaccine and will give information on how much each state will get so far. More than 2 million doses have been ordered. In San Francisco, public health officials expect 7,000 doses of the nasal spray vaccine to arrive in the next few days. They will distribute the vaccine to private practice pediatricians